Hey guys, Sarak here, and today I'm going to bring you a Sky Striker deck. Now, if you were watching YCS Hartford over the last weekend, you know Striker won it, and I've taken the winner's deck, and I've gone and made it as close as I can, but keeping it under £200. So, this is how to win a YCS on a budget. Let's go. We've got 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Raye. Now, Raye, quick effect, tributes itself to summon a Sky Striker monster from your extra deck, and it floats if a Sky Striker monster is destroyed by battle or card effect. You need to see this card. It's obviously one of the few monsters in the deck. It's your main way of getting into your link monsters, and yeah, you need to see it. Quick effect, tribute itself, very, very useful for going off for doing plays in your opponent's turn if you need to. Dodges removal very nicely, can swing for some extra damage by tributing itself off in the battle phase for Hayate. Other than that, it's a fairly simple card and crucial for the archetype. We are playing 2 Rose. Now, Rose was at 1 in the winning list. We are playing 2 because we don't have access to Prosperity, so we have fewer ways of searching our strikers. We need to see a monster or a Hornet Drones. Rose is obviously, Hornet Drones is at 1, we're already maxed out on Raye, so we're playing a second Rose. If it's normal or special summoned, you can special summon, if a Sky Striker monster, is normal or special summoned, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if an opponent's monster in the extra monster zone is destroyed by battle, or leaves the field because of your card effect, special summon this card, then negate the effect of one face-up monster your opponent controls. Gives you a little bit of effect negation, is another normal summon, and also can special summon itself in some circumstances, but again, the main thing is it's another Sky Striker name we can use for our links. That's all the normal monsters, as it were. So now we have our hand traps. We have 3 Effect Veiler and 3 Ghost Ogre. These are the 2 cheapest hand traps right now. This deck is very, very close to £200 as is. You know what these cards do. They're in so many decks. If you have Ash Blossoms, feel free to add those in. If you have any other hand traps you like, feel free to swap those out as well. Onto our spells. We have 1 Sky Striker Mobilize, Engage, Pot of Greed, better Pot of Greed. I can't believe this card's not on the ban list. Yeah, it searches every card in your deck. It draws a card if you have 3 or more spells in grave, and it's not hard once per turn, so we just chain it continuously with Kagari. Another expensive part of the deck is the 3 copies of Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. It is crucial to the deck. It is really, really good. It gives you effect negation and stealing, which allows you to push for OTKs later in the game. There's no limit to what the opponent's monster can do. It can attack, it just can't activate its effect, because obviously you negate it with Widow Anchor. And it's searchable, and it's quick play. So again, very, very good card. The most expensive card in the deck, probably. But it is 100% worth it if you are playing the deck. We are then playing 1 Shark Cannon. Mine is in Italian, just to be aware. Shark Cannon banishes a card from an opponent's graveyard, or if you have 3 or more spells, you can special summon it instead. Again, bit of graveyard disruption, very useful against Branded. It's searchable and recyclable, so we only really need 1. This is very much a toolbox deck. We are looking for the specific tool to out a certain situation. So we only need 1 of those. Another card that's gone up in price is Afterburners. If you have no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 face-up monster on the field, destroy it. Then if you have 3 or more spells, destroy 1 spell trap on the field. Very, very strong. The winning list ran this at 2. We are instead playing a copy of Jamming Waves. It's very, very similar. Arguably, it's better if you have 3 spells in grave. It's just slightly less flexible, because it will only destroy a monster if you have 3 spells in grave. But other than that, they do the same role. They're both your spot removal. They're both searchable. Ideally, again, we would go with 2 Afterburners, because it's the better one in a vacuum when you don't have 3 spells in grave, which you obviously don't all the time. But Jamming Waves is a suitable alternative, because Afterburners is expensive. 1 copy of Multi-Roll. Multi-Roll is your soul charge for your spells. It also prevents your opponent interacting with your spells. Then it sets them all in the end phase, depending on how many you activated, but banishes them thereafter. Just remember that it does banish them thereafter. Don't banish your copy of Engage and then try add it back later. You will be very sad. But other than that, this is what gives Sky Striker such an amazing grind game. 1 copy of Hornet Drones. This is another pseudo-normal summon. It makes a token. Yeah, you then link that token off. You can then add it back if you want with Kagari and play it again, and then link off again if you really want to. It's dark as well, so it allows you to go into dark, the Dark Charmer. Yeah, we're never using its 3-spell engrave effect, or we never really care about it, because we are pretty much always linking this token off immediately. 1 Area 0, this is obviously the field spell. This is another little easy way of getting towards Raye, but this is not the main field spell we will be using in this deck by any means. Just remember, you can always target a Raye with this, flip it up, and chain Raye's effect to the activation of this to essentially not have the downside of having to send a card to the graveyard if you hit. 1 Rota, Raye is a warrior, it searches it. Yeah, simple as, very, very simple card. We know what Rota does at this point. 3 copies of Mystic Mine. Now, you love or you hate this card, but there is no denying it is an incredibly powerful card in this deck. Sky Striker thrives on simplified board states, it thrives on being able to unpick boards, and it thrives in the grind game, and this card allows it to do all 3. It gives you the stalling, so you can stall until you find the pieces you need. It allows you to unpick pieces of your opponent's board one at a time while they can't protect themselves, and it prevents you from losing the game. Yeah, it's an absolutely phenomenal card, and there's a reason that it was so powerful in this YCS. We are then playing 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More as a budget second Mystic Mine. Basically, the winner of the YCS played Demise of the Land. Now, Demise of the Land is now over £10 each. It will go down, but not right now. And also, I didn't know he was going to do that, and I don't have any copies of Demise of the Land. So we're going to play Dark Ruler No More instead. Now, again, it does a very, very similar thing in that it allows you to unpick the board, which is what Striker excels at, and leave it in a simplified state where you can use your really, really powerful one-off spell effects to, essentially, your cards are higher in strength than your opponent's cards in the right situation. So that's what Dark Ruler No More is for. 1 Terraforming, it searches mine, it searches Area 0, depending on which one you need. It's at 1 for a reason, that's why we're only playing 1. For our traps, we are playing the Anti-Despia trap. 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. This card is incredible against Despia. It just says they don't have a turn. That's what it says. The main thing to do is make sure they have committed to their board when you flip this, because otherwise they will just search Branded in Red and then go from there. If you watch the first game of the finals, he sets a Dimensional Barrier with Trap Trick, so his opponent knows he has it. His opponent tries to bait the activation of it with a Polymerization. He does not activate the Dimensional Barrier, because if he activated it, his opponent could just normal summon Aloba, not Alistair, Aloba, and then search Branded in Red and make Chimera on his opponent's turn. Because he didn't do that, he didn't activate it on the poly, his opponent had to discard basically his entire hand, and then the Aluba got effect failed, so he couldn't search anyway, because there was no risk of making a Guardian Chimera with no board presence from that poly. So Dimensional Barrier. It ends the turn against so many decks. It's very, very important and a very, very strong card. To search it, we have Trap Trick. Now, we're only playing 2 copies because, again, cost, and this card is actually, it's nearly 2 to 3 pounds a copy. So, yeah, but it searches Dimensional Barrier for us. It forces your opponents into weird lines because they know what they have to play around, and sometimes they can't play around it, and other times the way of playing around it is really, really suboptimal. So it just forces your opponent's hand in lots of ways because of that. We then play 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Again, this could be at 3. It's expensive. I've cut 1 copy for cost. But you know what Imperm does. It's obviously searchable with Trap Trick because it's a normal trap. It's a hand trap for when we're going second, and it allows us, and it still works going first. 1 Metaverse, because activating mine on your opponent's turn is hilarious and should be done more often. Yeah, not much more to say about that. And then finally, Tikaboo, because floodgates go brr, and this deck can play around floodgates with the best of them. So, that is the main deck. The extra deck is really, really simple as well. We have 3 Kagari, add back a spell from the grave, and gains attack. We have 3 Shizuku, searches a spell in the end phase, and makes your opponent's monsters lose attack. We have 3 Hayate, attacks directly, and then bins a spell to the graveyard. Helps you set up your 3 spells in grave, helps you put stuff in grave to add back with Kagari. It allows you to get your spells in rotation. And 1 Kaina. She's here too. She exists. You'll hardly ever make her, but she's there. She says hello. And finally, 1 Zeke, because sometimes you just need to banish something for a turn. For our other generic links, we have Borrelsword Dragon to end the game. Again, this would be access code in a non-budget version. We have Nightmares, Phoenix, and Unicorn for those problem cards. Sometimes you just need to out something, either back row or front row. Is that really a saying? One or the other. You know what they do. They're really, really good. And finally, Dark the Dark Charmer. We can make this with Raye. We can make this with Hornet Drones. There's lots of dark monsters around. It helps us link climb into things like Borrelsword. Yeah. That's it. That is the deck. This is how to win a YCS on a budget. Just play 3 Mystic Mine main deck and then you can't lose, apparently. So yeah, if you want to upgrade it, then look at the winning list. And this deck's probably okay to buy right now because Mystic Mine's not going to be banned for at least another few months. So you may as well buy it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.